Oh, alright, so this is our fourth video. In this video we're going to take things a little bit differently. So the first video we did, we explained how we were going to basically talk about tips and tricks with traveling, and one of those tips and tricks and one of those things that we do whenever we travel are go to amusement parks. So the girls last night did some pretty easy flowered Legos last night. If you guys remember, it's the ones that we got at Sam's Club. But tonight, me and Carrie are stepping it up a notch, and she's going to be doing
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda. She had to have that Lego. And I'm going to be doing Harry Potter's Hogwarts Castle. This was originally Elena's. She's slacking a little bit on it. It's kind of complicated, so I'm going to try to finish it tonight. Probably not, but at least we're going to get some tips and tricks in. So, I'm sure in the last video you guys all saw this blanket hanging up right here. Cedar Point. We've talked about it quite a bit, and we're going to talk about that because the amusement park season is starting to come, and well, we thought we'd make things a little interesting, and we'll talk about some tips and tricks about amusement parks, particularly Kings Island and Cedar Point. Those are the two main ones that we usually go to. So, like I said before, the two main parks that we go to is Kings Island and Cedar Point. If you guys haven't already guessed, and some of our the background of our videos, we're obviously from Ohio. These are two amusement parks that we go to pretty often, and we're going to give you some money tips, some food tips, where to stay, where to go, and hopefully all of you that are either near the area or thinking about going to the Cedar Fair parks, which has now been bought 50-50 almost by Six Flags. So Cedar Point owns the most of the portion of Six Flags now. So if you get a pass or whatever and you want to explore some of the parks in here in Ohio, we're going to show you some videos, give you guys some tips, and hopefully you can enjoy it. But on to the video. So, Kings Island and Cedar Point, we take the kids to all the time. They love it. Obviously, it's an amusement park, so they get pretty amused by it. There's a lot to do, and both these parks, they have stuff for the kids, and they got stuff for the adults. So, I mean, there's going to be a good mix of whether, I'd say a good age group would be right around from 5 to above, and just to cover all your bases. But I'm sure there's some stuff for toddlers that are just a little bit below that age as well. Kings Island. I would say Mason, Ohio isn't exactly the most touristy area in Ohio. There are several places that you can stay. There's one main hotel that's literally right there, right next to the park, like in walking distance, really. And that's a great Wolf Lodge. And we've been there, and I can tell you right now, unless you use places like Groupon or other websites to get cheaper prices, it is a little pricey. It's worth it, but I would say wouldn't want to stay there any more than 3 days. Alright, so Cedar Point is going to be talked about, like I said, many times on these videos. It's kind of our main squeeze. It's the place that we go to all the time for our main vacations. And it's located right off the lake, Lake Erie, in Sandusky, Ohio. And if you go in the summertime, it is literally undistinguishable from, like, is it an ocean or is it a lake? We get people
It's a lake.
Well, obviously. But people ask us all the time, like, oh, where'd you go? Did you go to Virginia Beach? Did you go to Florida? No. We were at a lake. And the coolest thing about Cedar Point is obviously not just the lake aspect, but you got all these rides. You got all these rides for the kids. There's a bunch of things to do, including events, including shows, and they're all free. As soon as you get in the park, you go to these shows, you don't have to pay to see the show. I don't know if it's different at Disney. We haven't been to Disney, but I know the prices are pretty high there, so I would expect them to pay something. But it's free. Like, you go into Cedar Point, you go ride some rides, you want to take a break, go see a show. Well, there it is. And the best part is that Cedar Point is not only located off the lake, but there's a mile-long beach that is free to any of the park goers. And you don't even have to go to the park to go to the beach. It is a public beach. You have to pay for the parking, but the beach is free to anybody, which makes Cedar Point a very, very special place. Up next, we're going to talk about some of the things you can do to save a buck or two, to whether it's from eating food to places where you stay, or just the passes in general for both these amusement parks. And my wife Carrie Lee, she's going to finally chime in, and she's going to discuss a lot of that stuff with you when we get to that. Alright, so now we're going to start to discuss or get into a lot of the finer details. We're going to give you a little bit of a generalization of this stuff, and when we actually go to the parks, or if we get closer to that point, we'll go into greater detail about these things. And my wife Carrie Lee, she's gonna discuss some of these things with you, because she's the, she's the banker when it comes to all this stuff. So Carrie, do you want to kind of take it over about the passes?
Sure. So Kings Island has 3 different passes. They have the summer pass, the gold pass, and the prestige pass. Obviously the summer pass is the cheaper option, but it doesn't have as many perks as the gold and prestige. We usually do the gold pass, which in difference gets you early entry into the park, free parking, stuff like that. Prestige is a lot more expensive. It's $340 for a pass, whereas gold is just $140 per person. So you're gonna get more bang for your dollar, so to speak, with the gold one. They also have payment plans if you're not someone that can plop down thousands of dollars for passes, meal plans, and stuff. They have a convenient monthly payment plan that comes out of your bank every month.
Carrie, if I wanted to go to every park, what do I have to do about that?
I was getting to that. They also have what's called an all parks pass add-on. You can add this extra on, which is $80, and you can go to the Six Flags, the Cedar Point, and Kings Island unlimited amount of times. With your dining plans, you can get the all parks that is $165 a person. I will tell you, it is definitely worth it if you got a family of 4. A meal runs you about $60 for one meal.
For 4 people.
Yes.
So if you have a family of 4, it's going to run you about $60 to $70 per meal. So that's 2 meals a day. You used it once.
It's gonna save you $120 a day if you get 2 meals.
Oh yeah. You're gonna make your money's worth in just like
at least 2 trips. You make your money back and then some.
Right.
We go to Cedar Point for a week, so we get breakfast and lunch all day, every day of our trip, and that saves us about
hundreds.
The drink plan is not even that much more. It's $51.99 for the plus. That gets you ices for the kids in the summer and hot chocolate during Winterfest, which is now coming to Cedar Point this year, and they'll have hot chocolate.
If you don't even get the meal plan, at least get the drink plan, because I'm going to tell you right now, especially in the summertime, when you go to these parks, it's going to be extremely hot, and with the drink plan, you can get a drink every 15 minutes. And, you know, after about 15 minutes with either you or your kids, you're going to be pretty parched, and there's drink areas all over the parks, and it's going to be definitely worth it. For $35, is that how much it is, Carrie?
It's $51 for the plus.
$51 for the plus.
The ices and the hot chocolate. And there's 2 different ones. You can get the reusable cups that you take every single time you go, or you can do the disposable cups, which is what we do because we're forgetful frannies and we forget certain things like that.
But I mean, nevertheless, if you went there even twice, like you're gonna, and if you were to get drinks like every 15 minutes, you're gonna make your money's worth back. It's definitely worth getting, especially if you're gonna make multiple trips to Kings Island or Cedar Point or the other Cedar Fair parks. All right, so Cedar Point. Cedar Point is more of a destination area. It's more of a touristy area, and it's definitely going to be an area that you want to try to stay as long as you can, because Cedar Point can be very overwhelming. If you stay there for one day, trust me, you're not going to get everything done in one day. So that being said, there are literally 3 hotels that I can think of right off the top of my head that are even owned by the Cedar Fair Company. Breakers Hotel, Express Hotel, and Castaway Bay. So, Castaway Bay, let's get that out of the way real quick. Castaway Bay is very similar to what a Great Wolf Lodge would be. It's got its own indoor water park. It's very kid-oriented, if you will. It's not very far away from Cedar Point. I'd say it's right there next to the main causeway of where Cedar Point is. So about a mile or 2 away from getting to Cedar Point. Express Hotel is almost exactly how it's worded. You're literally very close from the causeway from Cedar Point. I'd say about a mile and a half away from Cedar Point itself. Now, the main one that I really want to go into a little bit more detail about is Breakers Hotel. Breakers Hotel is by far the best hotel that you can go to if you're going to make a destination to Cedar Point.
With kids.
Especially with kids. And let me explain real quick why that is. Convenience. It is literally right at Cedar Point. You have the hotel, you have the park, you have the water park, and right in front of the hotel is the beach. Like, you go to the park, if you get an early entry, you go at 9 a.m., noon comes around, I promise you, you're going to be tired, you're going to want to take a break at noon, and what's the best thing you can do? Take a 5-10 minute walk to the hotel, take a break, take a shower, take a nap, whatever. Then what? Well, since you already got those passes, which if you got that gold pass, it's good for the water park and the park itself, and you're at Cedar Point, so you got a beach right in front of you, You got literally 3 other things that you can do. You can either go back to the park, you can go to the beach, or you can go to the water park, or you can go to one of the 3 pools inside of the Breakers Hotel. They've got 2 outdoor pools. They've got a little splash park, if you will, right there in the middle for the kids. It's great for the kids, even for toddlers and little ones, all ages. And then they have one indoor pool as well.
With a hot tub.
Another great aspect about the Breakers Hotel is that it's got all kinds of restaurants inside of it. It's got a TGI Fridays, Perkins, and it's got a little hibachi grill inside as well. Tomo. So, Tomo, we always make it a tradition that when we first arrive at the park, during the end of the night, it's usually our first
dinner stop.
It's our first dinner stop of the vacation. Highly recommend it. Got great staff, great food. Perkins, you're all familiar with it. Great food. It's also got great staff. And TGI Fridays, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with TGI Fridays. Great place to eat as well. That being said, like I said, if you've got the food plan, you got breakfast, you got dinner. Well, where can you get breakfast at with your food plan? So, if you got a meal plan at Cedar Point, I can guarantee you can get breakfast too. And there's a place called the Grand Pavilion. It's inside the park, right off of the boardwalk. Upstairs. And you can get breakfast there. Once you get breakfast, you can get some lunch, and there's all kinds of other places you can get dinner if you feel like it as well. But trust me, you get a lot of food with this meal plan. You may not even need to buy dinner. So that being all said, Breakers Hotel is probably going to cost you about $100, maybe $200 more than the other hotels that we mentioned, even Castaway Bay. But you're literally paying for the convenience, and trust me, it's worth every penny. And when you sign up for these hotels, it's just like with any hotel, or the majority of any hotel that you go to. You can either A, pay it all up front, B, have them taken out monthly automatically, or 6 times, or C, you can just put a down payment on and then pay the rest once you get to the hotel. So you got 3 options. Right there, that's a big benefit. And pro tip of the day, definitely try to book the hotel room in advance, even if it's a standard. I would say at the very least 3 months in advance, because the rooms go quick, because it's a very popular hotel.
We usually book around November for our trip in July.
Yeah. So, and we're going a little bougie this year. We're going to get ourselves a suite, and we're going to see how that goes. So that'll be pretty exciting. I hope we'll be able to share that experience with you guys this year as well. Alright, so I'm sorry the video took so long. There was a lot of details in this. I tried to make it as short as possible. But, you know, like I said, amusement park season's coming right around the corner. Expect to see a lot of adventures from us going to these parks, and a lot more tips and tricks down the road as well. So, until next time, like and subscribe, and keep on chasing your